Awesome. Well, hey, Mango. Welcome. Nice to see you again. It's been a hot second, huh?
Yeah, good to see you again. How are things?
um,
How are things over in China?
yeah, so you're working, where are you working from right now?
I'm in Seoul still. I'm gonna be here for a couple more months. Yeah, looking to come back and visit in China at some point though. Miss the community out that way for sure.
Yeah, man. We originally met out there, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I guess
down in what, Shanghai, right?
yeah, I guess we would have actually met in Zhejiang province technically.
Ah, yeah.
Right next door. Yeah, but
That's a thing. So, for those of us that do not know who Mango is the community manager of Charge Particles, which is a super interesting NFT project that combines a lot of the elements, the best elements of having NFTs and the best elements of DeFi and kind of throwing them together. Mango, like, could you tell me a little bit about like who you are, how you got involved in Charge Particles, and like what charged particles is. Like, what's the benefit of charged particles?
sure. Yeah, lots to unpack there. I mean, I guess I've been a member of the Charged Particles team since December, and really like just jumped, both feet into the NFT space in, early October last year. And as I'm sure anyone who's watching or listening, whether they're a veteran in the space or just getting into NFTs, you can get a sense of how fast everything moves here. It's like you hit the ground and you're sort of meant to start running right away. So it's been a pretty crazy 6 months. I guess I worked my way into this position from the meme community initially. For those of you who don't know, it's a, 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 an NFT art platform that drops some pretty special stuff. They've actually just released their V2 and they're going to do a crazy drop with Beeple at some point soon. So, that name I guess resonates. Anyway, I came from like this community and found my way into a community management role at Charge Particles. Organizing metaverse parties and collecting artists together to do big drops and that kind of stuff. Yeah, really trying to build a strong community foundation there. But yeah, the gist of the platform is it allows users to take any token on the Ethereum blockchain, almost any token, and deposit it inside an NFT. So this means you can have like interest-bearing assets, the tokens that are generating 10 or 15% interest locked inside a piece of digital art. So you could imagine like if you took say an old baseball card 100 years ago and you taped $100 to it, and over the course of its inflation, if it was generating all this interest for 100 years, like that card would be like seriously valuable. And it's now got two different kinds of value. There's the principal asset that's generating over time, and there's also the speculative value of this collectible historical item. And so we let users combine these two in novel ways. And the possibilities are really so broad, that we could only really just scratch the surface here. That's just the primary use case, I guess. But NFTs inside NFTs, you get these Russian doll nested things, and each of them generating their own interest. It really goes quite deep.
Huh. That's a super interesting like thing because you have like bank accounts, right, which generate like a 0.5% interest, and now you're throwing say like a stable coin, like a US dollar denominated coin into art, giving it objective value as well as subjective value, and then that's gaining interest at like what 10-15% right now, right on the die that you guys have
Yeah,
in the
yeah. I mean, I think we were talking the other day, and you were like, "Holy crap, dude! Look, I mean, it fluctuates, right? It doesn't stay at like a locked interest rate, but you've got some NFTs up on the site, and you're like, dude, look at this, and it was up at like 35% interest for a few days. It was like, what? What? Like, I think when I had bank accounts in America, it was like I was paying more every month than I would make in like 5 years of leaving it open. So yeah, I think to empower artists to set a price floor, and while their art is sitting there waiting to be sold, it's like while it's in the gallery, it's also a functioning savings account, and that's really empowering. Um, yeah.
Yeah, super interesting. And so, like recently, you all have been doing some art drops that have been quite successful, right? Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so we've had three like metaverse events and experiences so far, starting with our launch back in February, and then we've done two like in the 3 weeks, on this 3 week rotation. Um, and between all three events, I think we're averaging about 1,500 people or so coming to these events on average in digital space, so.
And from a metaverse perspective, that's quite a lot of people right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of leading the way in terms of consistently doing something like this, and I think it's like if you've got a Beeple, kind of drop, or these, like really famous artists, it's obviously quite easy to be bringing artists or to be bringing participants in. But for a lot of these artists that we're featuring, it's they're quite new, I guess, or not yet discovered. And so to be pulling audiences like that consistently feels pretty great, and we're looking forward to getting bigger and bigger on that front. But
Right,
yeah,
right. And recently you've been,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to explain what metaverse means to anyone that might be a new phrase to, like, we're meeting digitally, tuning in from all over the world, right? And these events will happen both on Discord and in a virtual gallery. Usually our art is hosted in crypto voxels, which you run around quite like a video game. You can even use a VR headset if you want, and really like just walk up to a piece of art made by someone here in Korea or in Nigeria or in Hainan, China, or, it's like you've got this global connection, and it's starting to feel more and more like the real future.
Well, and some question that kind of popped into my mind over and over was, I wonder if crypto voxels and the metaverse would have exploded in the same way if we didn't have the whole COVID situation over the past little bit, right? I mean, we're
Yeah.
starting to come out of it a little bit right now, but like this kind of times everything really, really well from the perspective of, oh, well, this technology is starting to advance. We have this virtual space that everyone's meeting in, but at the same time, we can't meet in person. So where are people getting their social interaction from? I guess that's online. I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think that would have happened in the same way?
Oh, surely not. And I think the NFT boom right now is also incredibly responsible for changing the way those experiences feel very directly. Like walking around in a video game is one thing, but walking around where you like approach an item on the wall that you can click and own and buy directly from that person, this digital ownership really brings a realness to just the digital asset experience, like it's no longer just like a meaningless thing, it's like it was made by someone that's in the room with you right now, and you can buy it from them, and then you own it, and everyone recognizes that it's like it gives a visceral realness to digital experience. And I think, yeah, NFTs are, I think, helping to shape that reality, that new
Yeah, I think this
reality.
is one of the promises of the NFT space in general, right? You're not necessarily having to rely on a third party so much. You can be an artist, you can be a musician, and you can sell directly to a collector. You don't have to go through in the idea of like musicians, you don't have to go through iTunes, you don't have to go through Facebook, right? You have this ability to create art and sell directly to collectors, which is really, really interesting.
Yeah, and I think the fact that the collector then owns it outright, afterwards, like it doesn't matter if iTunes goes down, like, really iTunes, if iTunes goes down, no one owns the music. Even if you bought it, you don't own it anymore, right? With these streaming services, but if you own the asset yourself in an account that you control, that, be your own bank kind of situation, then, there's a, yeah, decentralizing the whole thing is really, really marvelous, I think.
Right. And kind of the beautiful part about this is like the network just won't go down, because it's decentralized. Like you're not going to have Spotify that runs down. You're not going to have, oh, YouTube went down. Google dropped a bunch of these servers and like all these websites went down. I guess Amazon, right? Not so much Google, but like that doesn't happen in the cryptosphere because of the decentralized nature of the blockchain, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff. And I think another thing just on NFTs in general is that it's really much easier to understand a song or a painting, a digital GIF, whatever. All of these are things that we have um, uh, we have an easy understanding of. It's something that we've encountered before, and so it's a really wonderful tool for learning about the powerful underlying tech that is the blockchain. Because like 0.00001 Bitcoin doesn't really mean anything to people, but like art does. And as a tool for learning about this technology and the way that it's shaping the future of human social interactions and human financial systems, and I think it's a really wonderful tool to start to get it.
Well, speaking on that topic a little bit, where do you see kind of the NFT space going for musicians and artists? I mean, like you're talking about shaping social interaction. I mean, what's the next step for the space?
That's I would say like my guess is as good as anybody's, and probably not as good as many. But I guess the way I see it happening is that because like as a response to the environmental issues that people don't really fully understand, and the gas fees that are directly linked to that same issue, these issues are causing everybody that's building in this space to find solutions to this, and it's happening way faster than someone outside might be aware. And so while Ethereum is sort of the heart and core of the whole thing at the moment, I see a lot of like side alternatives, opening up as like different places for people to go. I think that's in the nature of decentralization. I don't see it staying as a single blockchain thing for very long. And there will be ebbs and flows, of course, but I think like the name of the game is like lots of different solutions to the same problem, lots of different ecosystems that are then all connected by some sort of web of like interoperability. And then maybe coming back to Ethereum at some point once ETH 2.0 comes out. But yeah, I think like lots of small ecosystems that will build together, small communities.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes total sense. And I wanted to kind of dig into something you said about the environmental issues real quick.
Sure.
Like, what are some of the environmental issues that people are talking about, and how do they misunderstand them at the moment? I mean, you're talking about layer 2 solutions, you're talking about ETH 2.0. Like, how do those play into the environmental impact that NFTs have?
Sure. I mean, I think it really requires an understanding of how the blockchain works. The two different primary systems, the one that we're using now that has the problems, and the one that is coming that's already here, really. And it's just a matter of moving to. And the one is proof of work. This is how the blockchain works. Many of you have probably seen lots of YouTube videos trying their best to explain how mining works and all this, trying to like wrap your head around it. The language is changing and getting better over time. But basically, you've got this big network of a bunch of nodes, and they're all competing to solve the problem the fastest. Whichever can solve the cryptographic puzzle first gets the prize. They write it to the blockchain, and they get the reward for it. So they get these bigger and bigger, faster and faster server systems that are basically just factories trying to solve these problems as fast as they can. But it's competitive. It's not collaborative, and so like all of these systems are getting bigger and taking more energy, and they're all running at the same time, but only one of them is actually writing to the blockchain in the end. So that's like incredibly inefficient, and that's where the waste comes from that people talk about. It also limits the capacity of the network. So when we've got hundreds of thousands of people wanting to transact at the same time, whoever pays the most will get the transaction, and that's why the gas fees keep climbing. It's the same issue. But the next system, instead of proof of work, is proof of stake. So instead of all of the nodes running all the time to try to compete against each other, just one will be selected randomly to complete a transaction. And the way that you become a node is not buying some massive factory of Bitcoin computers, but staking how much currency you have in the system. So say I've got, I don't know, $5,000 or something that I want to contribute and to be a node on the network. So I can put my 5,000 in, and then I'll be allowed to compute transactions that are 5,000 or less. Maybe 5,000 is not even enough, but just imagine, that, to become a node, I have to put my money where my mouth is. but I'm only allowed to interact with transactions that are equal to or less than that. So that if I start messing around and trying to be fraudulent, the money I've staked in here will just get destroyed. So it's not in my interest at all to be fraudulent against the network. And because of this, it's not all of us competing against each other. It's just like, oh, well, you're randomly chosen for this sub $5,000 transaction. This $100,000 node is being randomly selected. So only one is running at a time for each transaction. And so there's this element of network security and contribution to the network, but it's like 90 to 99% more like energy efficient. It really removes that whole problem, and it makes the transaction fees cheaper for everybody. It's like a win-win. So even if you're environmentally conscious artist, and this is a good idea. And if you're a business that wants your users to save money, this is a good idea. So everyone is trying to get there. It's just a matter of which alternative do they go to first. Making first steps is always a little tricky, and moving across to these other chains is something you have to think about before just doing right away. But basically we're already there, and we'll see the entirety of the network moving into these solutions like in the next 3 months, and then eventually Ethereum will upgrade, and it just won't ever be a problem anymore. And so this like kind of misdirected anger towards artists who are finally making a living, oh, you guys are the ones killing the environment. I was like, no, I mean, like, it's the whole thing is like just inefficient right now, but everyone on the whole thing is focused on fixing this problem. And so getting angry at artists that have no capacity to fix it themselves is just confused and doesn't understand the depth of the issue, I think. But it's coming soon, and it's like I feel like I'm taking off, like in Naruto, and Rock Lee takes the weight off of his legs and then he can kick 20 times harder. That's how it feels, and I'm so excited.
Oh, that's fantastic! Yeah, I haven't watched Naruto, so I missed your reference on that one, but I'm sure some of the people
taking a weight vest off.
Okay, great. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. So I kind of want to dig into like the artists. They're finally starting to make a little bit of a living. Like, what's allowing them to get to a point of actually making a living doing this thing versus the traditional channels? Like, what's different about the NFT space that allows these artists to actually like do the thing?
Well, I would say I don't know. It's like what goes on inside the head of a person who's got millions and millions to spend on crypto is something I don't really have actual access to, but can only make guesses about. I mean, I've bought some NFTs, like on the smaller side. It just feels good to support artists, and especially if you understand the technology, believe in the direction that it's going, and want to help reinforce that for people. It's like it's an investment in the future of the community by supporting artists. It's like some people are playing the investment game, they're like trying to buy pieces that will make them money, but others just want to support the ecosystem. And the ecosystem is flourishing now that all of these artists are here to help creatively build and solve these problems.
So, I guess a better question to kind of play into that is like, what is the value proposition of an NFT? Like, what makes an NFT special?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I started to touch on this a little bit. I think it's like a tool for helping people understand the blockchain in a very easy way. I mean, it takes some time still to wrap your head around it, but when you start to realize like that these digital items are just as real as a physical item in terms of the value someone gives them, like the proof of the interaction, that it's basically like it's a certificate of authenticity, and the art is just the packaging for this like authentic interaction on a digital landscape. Like the Mona Lisa without its certificate of authenticity is not the Mona Lisa anymore, or you can't be sure. Right. I mean, if you don't have this proof that it's real, then it's not real anymore in terms of $75 million. But if you just have the certificate of authenticity, then it's like, okay, great. What I have certified that what is real? Nothing, and so you need both pieces of this thing for it to be real. And that's in the physical world and now also in the digital world. So I think we should think about NFTs less as the JPEG and more as the certificate of authenticity for the interaction between people peer to peer. And the music and the art itself is just sort of the packaging that makes the whole thing real. It's like the container for the interaction. But I think longer term, bigger picture is like digital realism. Like when I go into VR and I've got my VR hat on, and it's an NFT that I own, and I can take it off my head and give it to you with your VR headset on, and you can take it, and then it's like, do you want to give this to Matt? Like, yes, and now you own it. And so like I have this physical thing where I hand you a digital item, and then you take it and you own it now. It's just as real as if I did it with a hat made of leather or whatever, and so like there's this element of like defining digital reality with these tools. Or at least that's like one of the, I don't know, trippier ways I like to look at it.
I mean, that would be super cool. I can see myself in a VR space and, going to a party and here's your birthday hat. You now own this.
and everyone can prove that you own it.
Right, which is really cool. And like for artists, for example, actually, to dig back into Charged Particles and one of the recent art drops, you recently had a group called Bloom on, right?
Beacon Bloom.
Beacon Bloom, right? Beacon Bloom. And they did a really cool thing where they're kind of like merging the digital and the physical a little bit, right? They had it was a fanny pack, right?
Yeah. I guess it'll be tomorrow, the 16th, when they release that video publicly. But there was an exclusive premiere of their first music video, and he's got this fanny pack on in the video, and so like the NFT entitles you to the ownership of the fanny pack. And I think inside the fanny pack on the tag is a QR code you can scan, and it'll pull up the NFT. And I think the idea, right, is that Charged Particles lets you take an NFT and turn it into a sort of fanny pack where you can put other stuff in it. And this fanny pack as well has some extra goodies, I think, that are coming with it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And also, I saw a bunch of social tokens that kind of came through in the last art drop as well, right? We're seeing some artists kind of starting to utilize those for their own area of the cryptosphere, right?
Yeah, I think we have like one primary social token use case, which is the Nifty Hearts, which was developed by Richard Dixon and Siraj, and so they have their own token for the community they're trying to build. And unfortunately, it was a little bit derailed by, the role social token issue recently. But in general, social tokens as a tool to build ecosystems for your community, I think is really powerful.
So what is a social token for those people that don't really kind of know what a social token is?
I mean, think about it kind of like if you got tokens, different amounts of tokens for like different levels of subscription on Patreon. It's like, oh, you really support. It's like you get access to the extra content, right? And you get access to this, and you've given extra, so we have a call. You get to chat with the content creator or whatever. People have these different tiered sort of engagement things with Patreon, but it's like you can make it so that you can only buy those tiers with your own token, be it like the Mango token. It's like, oh yeah, if you want to support me, you need to buy Mango tokens, and then you can use those Mango tokens and like give them back to me, and I'll give you these special engagement gifts, and when you buy them, then I destroy them so all of the rest of them get more valuable. And so you can incentivize communities that you've already built, commodifying engagement, or incentivizing engagement, something like that, in the same way that like a small town, might have, you want to go buy some bread and you can give them some eggs, you don't have to give them the money that the entire country uses because you know each other and it's a community. And so these little sort of smaller ecosystems can be made possible with social tokens.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of this as like kind of a rewards program for artists, right? Like, hey, you collect our
Yeah.
art, you're engaging with our community, you're retweeting our tweets, you're liking our content on various social media platforms. Here's some of my tokens. You can redeem it for this special thing. I see some artists doing some really interesting things with that, and I'm excited to see where that goes.
I mean, if we talk about metaverse parties again briefly, right? So like what if like every time you come to see our show, we're playing music, every time you arrive to see a show, you get 50 tokens
Mm,
for free just for
mm,
being there. Like, hey, you're here, boom, here's 50 tokens. And then like after 25 shows, like we release a special NFT, and you can only buy them if you've got 500 tokens. And so like, okay, oh, you've been to 10 of our shows, then great, you have enough and you can just buy this. You don't have to pay money for it, but it is valuable. Maybe we're also selling some of them to people. So some are for sale in Ethereum and like, oh man, that's rare. I'll buy it for $1,000. Or you came to 10 of our shows, so you get it for free.
mm.
These sorts of ecosystems.
And something I'm really interested in right now is kind of bridging the digital and the physical with, hey, I am an artist, I am a musician that has this social token. Come to my show and you get some of these. And now you can redeem these tokens for like something at the show. It's like, hey, send me a transaction at the show, scan this QR code. Here's a shirt. Here's a few beers, right? Here's a backstage pass, right, to come hang out with us after the show. Like there's different levels that you can use this with. It's not only in the digital space, and that's something that's really intriguing to me. I don't really see anyone doing on a super high level right now. I guess Kings of Leon did something like that, but yeah, I'm not so sure how they're implementing it.
Yeah, and I think there's like an important understanding of how token gating works. There are a couple different tools that allow you to basically like put up a gate that you can only unlock if you like hold a certain amount of tokens or a certain NFT or a mix of both. So like, yeah, here's our backstage room. Like it's open, but you can only enter if you have X tokens that you've either gotten from inside the NFT and charged particles or from attending the show, some previous date. It's a good way to, yeah, a good way to reward long-term engagement.
I mean, I'm just imagining like a musician, playing a show, and there's a QR code on the door to get to backstage, and the bouncer's there not to tell you to go away, but to check your phone to make sure you have enough social tokens.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
super cool.
yeah.
It's super cool to me, and this really interesting use case, I think, for more interaction between artists and collectors and fans, which is something that hasn't really happened before.
It would be pretty hilarious if you have like some bouncer NFTs outside, and it's like you can like pay off the bouncer if you want to get in as well, right?
Oh man, that would be so funny. It's just a new way to grift, right? The bouncer's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
oh,
man,
yeah,
just give me like 20 mango tokens. I'll let you in.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
love
Shit.
that.
Maybe I need some mango tokens, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if mango's taken yet, but you should check it out for sure.
Yeah, no, I only the right. Make sure to check the contract address because I hear there's some fake mango tokens out there. You want to make sure you've got the right one.
Oh
You know.
man. Well, hey Mango, thank you so much for being here and like talking to me about this. I'm sure a lot of people are going to find this super interesting. Is there a place we can check out Charged Particles? Follow you guys on the socials, any of that great stuff?
Yeah, sure. Our primary out-facing social media is Twitter, which is at DeFi NFT, DEFI, decentralized finance, NFT. So pretty easy to find, DeFi and NFTs. That's what we do. And then we've got all sorts of social media, like anything that you prefer. Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, yeah, TikTok, everything. And Discord, Telegram. All of this stuff is available on our website, which is charged.fi. So you can see our marketplace and learn more about how it all works on the blockchain level there. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, Mango. We'll see you soon,
Yeah.
and hopefully we can have you back on in a few months. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It was great. Thanks very much, guys.
Okay. See you, Mango.